The IMF this week said, quote, "The war in Ukraine means hunger in Africa." The World Food Programme is also warning of a catastrophe, saying half of the grain it uses to feed the needy originates in Ukraine. But not only that, it has also been forced to slash aid to some African countries because of the crisis.
We're so short of funds already, and now with Ukraine, we've got 50% rations for people, for example, in Yemen. I've just cut 50% rations for 8 million people. Niger, 50% rations. Chad, 50% rations, and 50% don't have anything, those who are in extreme need. So it's already having a global impact. We've already seen countries right before Ukraine crisis begin to destabilize, like Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso. And in my opinion, it's a sign of things to come.
We'll discuss this further with a representative of the United Nations Development Programme in a moment. But let's first go to Somalia, where an almost forgotten humanitarian catastrophe is now severely aggravated by food aid being diverted elsewhere. Somalia is experiencing its worst drought in 4 decades. Millions are starving and being forced to leave their homes. Bearing the brunt are children. A warning, some viewers might find the following pictures disturbing.
We are only 5 kilometers away from Al-Shabaab-controlled territory. The Islamist terrorist group has a tight grip on Somalia. Daily attacks have become normal. But terror is not the reason why roughly 30,000 people live in this camp. The drought has made their villages uninhabitable. Johara Ali lost all her cows due to the drought. She has no food for her 4-year-old daughter.
My daughter is getting worse every day. She can't keep anything down and is vomiting. I tried to give her tea and powdered milk, but she gets diarrhea straight away.
There is no medicine in the camp. Visiting doctors decide little Ubach has to go to a hospital immediately. NGOs warn of a humanitarian catastrophe. Almost everyone here was a cattle farmer until the drought killed their animals. 3 rainy seasons in a row have failed.
Somalia at the moment is facing climate disaster, manifesting itself in displacement of massive populations, fleeing their homes in search of life-saving assistance.
In the hospital in the city of Kismayo, malnourished children receive treatment. More than 10 have been admitted today, and the number is growing. The next morning, we want to check on little Ubach again, but the news is bad. We find out that the 4-year-old girl did not survive the night.
After morning prayers, she died. She'd lost a lot of fluids and hadn't eaten at all. I will remember her as a happy girl. She always laughed with her siblings.
Increasing numbers of children are falling ill because they do not have enough to eat. But so far, way too little help has arrived. One reason is underfunding.
We are helpless to them. We can't do anything for them. Those people who are being affected and their malnutrition, they lost their livestock, we are not doing anything for them.
WFP says the problem is being exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Food supplies coming from there have dwindled, and some aid intended for Somalia has been redirected to Ukraine.
There's a number of donors at the beginning, they already told us that some commodities are heading towards us. Those commodities were already diverted in the sea, heading to Ukraine.
Johara is now worried about her second child, Abdi Fattah. He's also acutely malnourished. On a good day, the family gets 1 meal, but too often they go to bed hungry.
Let's talk more about this with Ayodele Odusola, Resident Representative and Director, Africa Finance Sector Hub with the United Nations Development Programme. He wrote a book on African agriculture's potential, performance, lessons and challenges. Hello, sir. Thanks for your time. Now, food supplies are urgently needed in Somalia, but this aid is being diverted to Ukraine due to the ongoing war. So Who decides who lives and who dies in such situations?
Thank you very much. What is important is the available resources dedicated to countries. The resources available to Somalia may be in short supply on the basis of the need. And my call is that on the basis of what the other UN agencies are doing, not only the World Food Programme alone, is to repurpose their budget for this year to support humanitarian need. All the UN agencies that are present, that are working in Somalia, are now repurposing and reprogramming their budgets to support this humanitarian need. But my call is to to call on international communities to support the country on its current humanitarian need, which is very dear, with about 3 million people needing humanitarian assistance, with over 300,000 children under 5. So we want to really call on international community to support, and also we want to see what we can do to mobilize from other private international organizations to support the situation in Somalia, not only in terms of humanitarian, but also in terms of technical support, so that we can build resilience, we can build the capacity of Somalians to be able to really produce food that they will need and become net exporter to the rest of the world.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned the numbers yourself. They are staggering, to say the least. So what really goes into such decisions?
Well, what goes into the decisions is about what is the budget, regular budget available to each agency. But we want to go beyond that because what we want to do is now to bring the international private sector on board so that it can mobilize resources from all other actors that are even supporting humanitarian assistance, including the Catholic Relief, the bilateral, what they call bilateral donors, to come and support. And we need to really show the reality on the ground in Somalia for us to be able to mobilize more resources that will go into this. So it is my plea to international community for us to really find a way of making sure this is really achieved.